People, what is going on? Another video on YouTube. How is everybody? Firstly, obviously it's a Monday. I'm coming at you on a Monday with a fresh new video to start the week off. Of course, on Mondays, I'm generally not trading that frequently because market hasn't got that much structure, and I'm waiting for things to kind of set up and wait for my setups to kind of reveal themselves and come to me, as opposed to me hunting them down and taking like half chance kind of trades, because the market is not ready or set up for my kind of trading style on a Monday. So the reason I'm coming to you today with this video is I've been asked so frequently on Instagram, also been asked on YouTube, been asked on Telegram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, pretty much every social media you could think of, what my daily routine is, what my daily routine looks like, how do I go about marking my charts in the morning, what do I do every day basically. So I'm going to come at you with this kind of walk and talk kind of video and basically describe step by step what I do every day. Hopefully this will be helpful for people who just need to kind of find the way and get into a routine, because routine breeds consistency, and obviously consistency is what everybody wants in their trading, because consistency means you're profitable. Well, it doesn't mean you're profitable, it just you're on the way to being profitable, because there is a big difference between trading consistent and trading profitably, but I've covered that in another video. So step one, what am I doing every single day? Well, obviously I wake up. I wake up usually around an hour before London Open. Obviously that's changed with the daylight savings yesterday, I believe it was, which was great for people that went on a night out, because essentially got that extra hour. But unfortunately, it's ruined everybody's sleeping patterns. Everyone's all confused and bamboozled. What time does the market open? Whereas actually it's just like a 1 hour thing, but everyone seems to completely lose their minds. So I usually get up an hour before London Open. And basically I go and have breakfast, make myself a coffee, and I look to get in front of the charts for about 30 minutes pre-London Open. The point of this is I want to make sure that before the session opens, I've got my zones in place. I understand what's happened in the sessions, etc. I've got my price, an idea of where price is probably going to go for London Open, where the push is going to take us. You know, if it takes us anywhere, depending on what currency pair, etc. So that's how I start off. Get up, have breakfast like any normal person does, have a coffee or a cup of tea, and then I just get in front of the charts. Giving myself at least half an hour before the open. The steps whilst I am looking and obviously having breakfast, etc. Generally, I'll check these things on my phone, or if I take my laptop with me. So I'm looking at the following. I'm looking at daily FX, and I'm essentially just looking at the economic calendar to see what kind of news is coming out. So for example, today I think we've had pretty much all the news that we're supposed to have. So yeah, we haven't really got anything high impact for this afternoon, but this morning we had a little bit of GBP news. And then, tomorrow I'll obviously check, and I know that we've got the balance rate. I know we've got some bits and bobs, got some CAD news, some USD news. But so the real news this week anyway is on Wednesday, which is the FOMC rate decision. And also on Friday, we have the big one, the special one, the non-farm payrolls. So that's step number one. Check daily FX, look at the Forex factory calendar, look at daily FX, look at whatever news site you want to look at. Just make sure you've planned in where and when the news is going to be, so you don't enter positions and get massively blown by the news, because I've been there and done that, where I haven't checked the news and been in live positions and I've been stopped out and my stop has been slipped because the news was high impact on GBP, JPY. And of course, in your broker conditions, it is that in times of high volatility, such as news, you may receive different prices than you bargained for, which of course we kind of agree to as traders. Second thing I'm doing, I'm looking at the currency strength meter. So that is on a website called livecharts.co.uk. and I load this up, and this is how it works. Essentially, you are looking at these one individually and then two in pairs. So the more bars or the less bars, the stronger or weaker the currency. So JPY right now, so the Japanese yen has the sort of full 5 bars of strength, whereas the Canadian dollar has 1 bar. So you would assume that if you were selling the pair CAD JPY, that it would make sense because this is a confluence kind of tool. And vice versa. For example, if GBP was 1 bar, JPY was 5 bars, likelihood is you'd probably look at taking sells on GJ if you had other confluences around you when you was opening your charts. So then the final one is to look at the pre-markets. This is obviously for the New York session. So New York session is, 12 p.m. Noon, and it was 1 p.m. So I'm looking at CNBC a couple of hours before New York Open to understand what's really probably going to happen and how the stocks are affecting the market. So whether the USD is strong, people are pumping money into the stocks, etc., or if they're down, then potential weakness in the US dollar. Today is a prime example. Looking at the stocks, they're down. So the Dow and the SP 500 are both down. So that gives me an idea we may have had a weaker kind of dollar going into Monday's New York session and Monday's New York Stock Exchange opening, which is obviously 1 hour and a half after New York opens. So next on the daily routine is trading the same sessions. So like I say, trade London and New York primarily. And obviously daylight savings mess people up. So today I didn't actually trade London because it was too early. And actually I don't usually trade Monday mornings anyway because the market is not set up for it. So I trade the same session every day. And like I said earlier on, I mark up my zones of price on the 1 hour and 4 hour using Wix as a guideline. So I'll show you how I do that briefly. So if I jump onto trading view and I jump on a random currency pair, so let's say CAD Japanese yen. Okay, maybe I've marked this up before, but you get the picture. So I'm basically looking at zones of price on the 4 hour time frame, looking at zones of price on the 1 hour time frame, and I'm just mapping them out. I'm just using the rectangle tool. I'm just looking left and looking for points where price is probably going to struggle next. So we had this point here. Well, we're actually currently at support on this. So I'd look left a little bit further. Okay, yep, that would probably make sense because we've got multiple taps in this region here. So if I use the arrow tool, we've got taps and rejections and taps and rejections on the 4 hour. So that's why currently right now we're actually at 4 hour support here. So if Raquel was looking at this pair, he'd probably be screaming to take buys. So buys at support, sells at resistance, etc. But I'm using Wix as a guideline. So like I said, I'm looking for multiple taps and I'm looking for rejections. So not only at support, but I'm actually looking to try and plot resistance also. So I may plot resistance at this point here. So look for multiple taps. You can see that we've got multiple taps on a price level. So you've got multiple taps here. You've got taps there. You've got multiple taps here. So you'd say that's a strong resistance. So there's your 4 hour zones of price. Always looking left. So the two rules are, so 1, look left. 2, use Wix. Third rule, sorry, extend to the right. And this helps you basically identify, not have to mark up your zones so frequently because you'll be able to actually extend your zones to the right hand side, just drag them towards the right. And then in the future, price may come to these points. So it'll save you a little bit of time in the mornings. So the next thing that I do, I've marked up my 1 hour, 4 hour support resistances. I look at the previous market session to see where we are in price, to see what's going on. So are we ranging? Are we, sort of consolidating? Is price just essentially ping-ponging from zone to zone on a smaller time frame? Maybe you could draw the 15-minute time frames and you have two little boxes and prices essentially just going up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit. and nothing's majorly happening. So you could say you were in consolidation, or you were in like a price level or a price range, sorry. Or is the market trending very harshly? So through our Asian session, generally it's a very slow session because there's not a lot of volume, not a lot of people are trading, etc. So there's not that many orders. So market prices aren't pushing that quickly, or so generally doesn't trend that hard. Whereas, you know, you have the London and then you have New York overlap, and generally you can trend quite nicely depending on the currency pair and its market structure and its overall bias, etc. But so make sure you're taking a look at that to see where price currently is. So if you're trading the London session, you want to look at Asian, see what's happening in Asian. If you're trading New York session, then you want to be looking at London. And then obviously if you're trading Asian, you want to be looking at New York. Pretty much just go one session back, understand where price and how price has moved in that session. Look at your bigger time frames. So you want to be looking at your 4 hour and your 1 hour. Look how your 4 hours closing. Is it leaving wicks? Is pricing momentum, or are we really sort of consolidating? Are we at support, etc.? Are we at resistance? That will give you a better idea of how to manage the trades and manage the session properly. The trades that I take, pretty much the same things happen every day because I'm executing the same thing day in and day out, because you have to know your session. So this is what I haven't wrote down, but know your session. This is fundamental. This is so fundamental, because if you understand the ins and outs of session, when it moves, when price is likely to sort of stop moving, when we're likely to maybe take reversals or take retracements and pullbacks, then you'll be in a much healthier position than if you just open your laptop 5 minutes before the London session opens and say, okay, I want to trade London today. Don't trade it. I've not traded it before, but I'm going to trade it today. I don't know how it moves. I don't know how my currency pair moves in that session, but I'm going to trade it because it looks like it should be good to trade today. That's something that you shouldn't do. You should be planning for your session. If you trade New York, keep trading New York. You don't have to just swap around and go to Asia and go to London. Just because other people do it, you need to plan and adapt for your session. So, for example, people that live in America generally trade Asian session because it's convenient for them, and it's convenient time to trade because they've usually finished work in the evenings, etc., because of the sort of time difference. Whereas for me, Asian session is a no-go because it's sort of 1 a.m. The middle of the night it runs through, so there's no point me trading Asian session. So I don't just hop on a session because everybody else does. So this is key. Know your session. So we'll put that one in bold. So like I've said, I plan my trades and then I attack them. So I'm looking at my 1 hour zones. I'm looking at my 4 hour zones. I'm looking to see if we've just broken a zone. So if we've broken one, chances are we'll get that retest and then we'll continue pushing up or down to the next zone of support or resistance. That's zone to zone in a nutshell, really. Essentially, you're waiting for a break, a retest, and then a push. That's as simple as I can make it. And I've done plenty of videos on zone to zone. So make sure you go and check them out. They are also on this channel. This is probably the biggest point because it's very important to remember sometimes there is no trade. So if you've looked on DailyFX, and there's news coming out in 30 minutes after the session opens, price usually consolidates ahead of the news, especially if it's high impact, because there'll be like big liquidity pools either way for institutional pricing. So you want to kind of you don't want to avoid news, because I personally do trade news using pendings, which in my opinion is the safest way. But you need to understand sometimes there won't be that trade. There will not be an opportunity for you to trade in that session or in that initial window that you have in mind. That is okay. It's okay to not trade. I had in mind this week I was going to trade Wednesday and Friday twice all week because of FOMC and also because of NFP, because I've made great pips and great money on those two events before. I know what I'm looking for. I know how to trade them, relatively safely. So I had in my mind that actually I was only going to trade twice this week. Today, I took about 40 or 50 pips on USD CAD buys, unexpectedly, because I was hunting it down, posted some analysis on Instagram, and actually the opposite was happening. I was looking for a breakout for drop-based drop, so price moved down, consolidates, and then moves further down because it looked like we were trending down, but actually higher time frames we were still on a very bullish run. So we had a breakout, and I just traded the breakout because I'd done the analysis. Yes, it was against the analysis, but actually I'd allowed, because there's always going to be two situations. So in this case, it was drop base and then a rally, which the rally is a continuation of the bullish momentum in the USD Canadian dollar. But the point to remember is I actually only wanted to trade twice this week. So now I will not trade again for the next couple of days until Wednesday and then until Friday, because like in this point here, know your session. So I know that FOMC and I know that NFP produces massive market moves, and I've traded them before and I've taken advantage of them so nicely before that I understand that's when I'm planning my trade and I'm going to attack those two events. So it's important to remember not every day is a trading day. If it's a day full of news all throughout your session, if it's a session like New York and there's lots of news on the USD backed pairs, then sometimes it's okay just to sit out and actually wait for the carnage to unfold and then piggyback off the moves of the news, which is what I do quite often. And so lastly, this point is kind of goes into the points above. So, you're buying that support, selling that resistance in up and down trends. I use the EMAs as a confluence, and I use zones. That point's there just to remind me, because it's written on my plan, which is in front of me right now on the little magnet board behind my desk. But it's important to understand what your trading style is and just write it down. What do you trade? If you don't see those kinds of trades, then there is no trade for you to take. So look at the point above. This is how I go through my daily routine. Every single day I do these following things, and then also I just read my trading plan, read it a couple of times in the morning with my coffee, or if I'm watching a YouTube video because there might be news, etc. But I'm always looking at my plan, never deviating from the plan, and just trading, like I say, the buy at support, sell resistance, like Raquel does, so at weeks don't lie, using EMAs like Wakar does, at EMAs don't work, and using zones. So everything kind of interlocks together with trading zone to zone. But in my opinion, it's one of the kind of easiest ways to make pips, and you generally make quite a lot of pips with very sort of little risk, because you can move your stops quite quickly depending on the currency pair. But so yeah, you guys asked for it, and that is my daily routine. Hopefully you found it helpful, and I've given you a bit of an insight into what I do. Of course, you guys follow me on Instagram, so probably know this anyway, but for anyone that doesn't, that's obviously answered your question. Soon there will be a day in the life of, which will be footage of myself going about my day, going about my trading, a bit of a vlog kind of video. So make sure you stay tuned for that, and you sort of like and tell a friend to tell a friend. That will be coming at 1,000 subscribers, and I've just bought a new tripod and camera lens for it, so it should be a good one with great quality footage. Anyway, that's it from me, people. So peace out and have a good trading week. Make sure you stay safe with FOMC and non-farm payroll. If you're a new trader, don't try and trade the news, because generally you'll lose money. I've seen it happen before, so just be wary. But stay safe and enjoy yourselves.